So, wow, my head looks so big. I'm not really feeling the look today, but we just gonna go with it because if I wait till this is perfect, it's not gonna happen. So I'm really struggling with this intro right now. I don't know what is going on, but hey y'all, what is up with these little? So hey you guys, welcome back to today's video. My name is Lamaria Aminah. Most people just call me Mar or Marz, so whatever feels good to you is good with me. I woke up in such a good mood today. I'm feeling so positive and just strong and focused, which I'm so grateful for because I just got off my period, and with the theft that happened last week, I've just been feeling really down and emotional. So I feel like my weird, outgoing self, so I'm grateful. Can you believe that it's the last day of November? Like, what the heck? Where has the time gone? I can't believe that it's November 30th. I also can't believe that I haven't, usually I'm super active in November as far as advocacy goes. But yeah, this month I just literally haven't said anything. So that's why I want to jump on here and film this video today. Because as you can see from the title, you probably guessed it, it's Epilepsy Awareness Month. Hence why I'm wearing this purple head wrap, because the ribbon for epilepsy is purple. And yeah, I am living abroad and also living with epilepsy. So I figured it would be a great time to talk about what it's like living overseas with a disability. I don't really like to call it a disability, but a chronic condition. So if you are interested in this perspective, if you yourself have a chronic condition and are thinking about moving abroad, I hope this just gives you a little insight and encouragement that you absolutely can do whatever you want. You can live your wildest dreams, and we're not going to let these disabilities, these conditions stop us from living our lives. It's just a matter of catering and planning out how to make sure that you're safe and make sure that your health is taken care of while you live out these dreams. So I hope you're encouraged. I hope you're inspired by this. And yeah, let's just jump right in. So first things first, I'm not going to get too deep into my personal story. If you guys are interested in that, I can definitely share my whole journey with epilepsy. But a little brief history before we get into the tips is I was diagnosed at the age of 12. I'm 25 now, so I can't believe it, but I've been living with epilepsy longer than I have not been living with it. I'm going on 13 years, and it's been a wild journey for me as far as getting diagnosed till today. But I personally like to say that I am living with epilepsy, not that I'm an epileptic, because personally I don't like to reduce myself down to that condition or bondage, so to speak. So it's just something I have, but not something that I am. But that's besides the point. I think that, okay, let me gather my thoughts. Hold on. My mind's racing right now. So for me, moving abroad and bringing that notion to my family really wasn't a big deal. My family I come from a very avid exploring family. My family loves to travel, so living abroad was not a shocker to them. But what was a concern was my health, of course. And I'm the kind of person who's like, oh, it's fine. If I have a seizure, I'll be fine. I've had seizures by myself. Who cares? I didn't want to really make a big deal about it. But as we got closer to the date that I was planning on departing, I myself even began to feel scared. Okay, what if something does happen? What if I do have a seizure? How are we going to navigate this in a foreign country where I don't speak the language, I don't have a doctor, I don't have the full support that I have back at home? So it was definitely really valid concerns, and I started to take my family's concerns more seriously. So for me, I think the number one advice I could give you is just come up with a solid plan with your whole support system. So my support system looks like my family, my job, my coworkers, my partner, my doctors, etc. So I needed to make sure that everyone felt at ease. And I think that's the biggest thing that you could do for yourself and for your loved ones, is just listen to everyone's concerns and help them feel at ease, as well as help yourself feel at ease. When I was just dismissing, oh, it's fine, that made my mom feel like I was immature and naive to the situation. Like, okay, yes, we don't want to make it a big deal. I've lived with this my whole life, basically. So, it's nothing new, but what is new is the moving abroad. So how can we navigate this, not where it's a burden or where it's a hindrance, but where it's just a fact that I have this condition and I have to navigate my life in a way that accommodates my condition. So for me, the plan looked like this. About a month before we left the US, so that was in February, for my doctor, you have to book like months in advance. So I had booked this doctor's appointment. I have to go like every 3 months. So I already had this booked like 3 months prior. I think it was 6 months prior. So I had the appointment booked already. And personally, I like to write out all my concerns, all my questions, all my experiences as far as my health goes before I even get to the doctor's office, because it can be intimidating to have like 4 or 5 doctors in a room looking at you and trying to, make up a plan. So for me, I had everything written out. I knew that I wanted to move abroad and I wanted to be as safe as I possibly could in a foreign country. How could my doctors help me do that? So if you were to ask my doctors, they would consider me non-compliant, which means that I don't follow their recommendations on taking prescription medications. Personally, I've been on medication since I was 12 years old to about 20, and when I started to pursue a more holistic, natural lifestyle, I just really was against taking medications. For me personally, my brain seems to just do a lot better recovering from a seizure on its own than it does when I'm on medications. Like, it seemed like the medication, and I don't even want to call it medication, the drugs were doing more harm to me than they were good. So at 20 years old, I have been off medications. I haven't been on them since. And in my doctor's eyes, I am considered uncontrolled because I'm not, regulating my seizures. So with that being said, I definitely had to make sacrifices. I had to stop driving. This was fine because I lived downtown, so it wasn't a huge deal for me. But that's beside the point. So basically, my doctors would consider me non-compliant. So basically, the biggest thing they were asking me to do was to comply and to start medications. They really wanted me to start a prescription before I left because one of my number one triggers is stress. And that's for a lot of people with epilepsy. Stress is a big trigger. And so they were like, you're moving abroad, you're leaving, you're going to be really stressed. Please start this medication. Me, I'm pretty hard-headed, and I just did not want to start the medication. So I promised that I would take a 90-day supply of a seizure medication, and the moment that I had a seizure, I would start it. That was my promise. So we came to that equal compromise. They weren't especially happy with it, but they kind of know me. They know that I'm not going to do it if I don't want to. So they were comfortable enough to give me that supply and agree to that plan. So moving forward, also gave me a emergency medication. So for me, I have a history of going into status seizure, meaning that I have multiple seizures at a time, and they don't stop without medication, like a medical interference. So drugs like Ativan or Versed are drugs that they use to stop personally my seizures. So usually those are injected through your IV, but for me, they gave me pills to take with me. So my partner has the unfortunate job of having to stick pills up my booty hole or in my mouth under my tongue. But yeah, I have emergency meds and I also have a 90-day supply, and I also get chronic migraines, so I have a migraine medication as well. And those are kind of the plan that I had as far as medication went. The second part of that plan was the moment that I did have a seizure, if I were to have one, I would have to take the medication immediately and then find a doctor to wherever I am to refill my prescription. So those were kind of like the main plan that I had in place, as well as remaining in contact with my neurology team. Oh, and also I got a letter from my doctors stating that because the medication that I'm carrying is like considered this category, I forget the categories, but it's a narcotic. So it's a higher class medication, like up there with oxy and morphine and stuff. So I was a little nervous like crossing borders with this because I didn't know like every country's rules. So my doctors wrote a very formal letter just saying, you know, Lamaria can carry this medication with her. She needs it for her seizures, kind of thing. I don't know how official it is. I don't know if something were to go down, would it even help me? But so far, nothing has happened. And I don't know, I feel like it's better to have it than not. So definitely a recommendation there. For me, because I'm not on medication, I kind of pursue this the same way that I pursued my health when I was living in the States. And that was just being super mindful of what triggers me and doing as much preventative care as I possibly can to prevent the seizure. So for me, triggers, my like top 5 triggers are lack of sleep, stress, alcohol, hormonal fluctuations during my period, and dehydration. So these 5 things, typically if I have one of them, like say I have alcohol, that's not gonna automatically mean I'm gonna have a seizure. But if I were to drink, be dehydrated, and have lack of sleep, and be on my period, I'm like 95% sure I'm gonna have a seizure. So I really try to just avoid triggering myself. I have a lot more control now that I'm older. I understand what triggers me, and I have a lot more control than I realize. So I really just try to really manage my stress. I try to, stay hydrated. I try to make sure I get enough sleep. I don't really like to drink, so I don't really drink like that. But if I do want to drink, I make sure that everything else is good or I'm not drinking, So it's very basic things, but it's just these extra precautions that I just have to be aware of my body and know that these things trigger me. And as an adolescent, I was just like, I'm only getting 3 hours of sleep because I want to stay up all night. Like, I didn't care. And now it's like, I don't have a seizure, so I'm going to bed type of thing. So something my family was really, really scared about was me traveling alone. I've traveled alone before for like 3 weeks in Spain. And thankfully nothing happened, but I was just very nervous. Like, okay, what would happen if I was alone and I had a seizure? So I promised my mom that I wouldn't travel alone, at least in this point in my life, until my seizures are like very well maintained. So thankfully I have an amazing partner who was willing and wanting to travel with me. So we got that out of the way. But some other things that I do is like when it's close to my period and I know that I'm at a high risk for seizures, I don't go into the ocean. I don't go into the swimming pool. I try to stay out of like these really risky zones. For me, it's water. So I could drown if I have a seizure in the water. So if I'm already at high risk and not feeling too well, I'm gonna make sure that I don't get in the water. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not on a motorbike or, just taking these extra precautions so that it's better to have a seizure in the confines of my house and in my bed than it is obviously to be in the ocean. So I just try to take these little precautions just to make my life, make sure I can stay alive, as well as make my partner's job easier when it comes to caring for me and my health. So I will say that I know that I have a lot of privilege. I have lived in a time where I was having seizures multiple times a week, to the point where my family didn't even like to go out because I'd probably have a seizure, and then we're at the hospital and we made this huge fiasco in the freaking grocery store, and it was just became so much. So for some people, I know for a lot of people, their seizures aren't controlled and they can't just go and not be on medication or go and just take the chance. For a lot of people, your health is controlling your life. So I do want to just acknowledge that I completely understand, because I have been in a situation and been in a long period of time where my seizures completely ruled my life. And back then, there's no way that I could have traveled alone or even with a partner at that point in time, because it was just way too unpredictable. So I do just want to say that if you are somebody whose health is not under control, is not manageable right now, it's going to get better. When I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and my seizures were out of control, I didn't see hope for my future. And I never would have believed that I could be here without my mom, that I could lock doors, that I could go in the ocean. And I can. And I'm happy to say that I, knock on wood, I'm like so scared to say that because, but I haven't had a seizure since I've been here, not a full-blown seizure. I have had where I feel like I was going into a seizure. I have waken up a couple of times and been like, did I have a seizure? Like, I wasn't quite sure, but I haven't had a full-blown seizure where I had to go to the hospital, where I had to have medication or medical interference. So thank God for that, because I'm just so grateful. Like I said, I'm so grateful. So I hope that for anybody who is out there living with epilepsy, my little brother also has diabetes, so this is not just for the person with epilepsy, but if you're living with a chronic health condition that seems to be taking over your life, I just hope that you know that there's hope for you, and there's a possibility that your health will be manageable and you'll be able to fulfill this dream. And as long as you have a strong support system, as long as you are taking the steps to take care of your health, I think this is absolutely a possibility for you, even if you are having seizures every day. Like, I was having seizures every day, So to be going on 8 months seizure free, I think this might be one of the longest periods of time I've gone ever. So, especially not being on medication. So I just want to throw this out there for you guys that it's possible. It's possible. You just need to have the support. You need to have the patience. And you just need to keep the hope that this could be a future for you. So I just wanted to share a couple tips as far as epilepsy goes. I guess I could share more, but I figured we have Google, you can do your own research, but I really encourage you today to just go do some research on how to, if somebody in your life had a seizure, would you know how to help them? The number one thing I can tell you, the biggest misconception is that you can swallow your tongue. That was not a fart. I swear, that was the ottoman moving. But the number one thing that I could tell you is to never stick anything in anyone's mouth who is seizing. That is so important. Don't stick anything in anyone's mouth. You could really, really cause damage to their airways, to their teeth, to their mouth. Just don't stick anything in someone's mouth. You cannot swallow your tongue when you have a seizure. So with that being said, I guess I'm going to share a couple tips. When you see somebody seizing, it's really important that their space is cleared. So when they are seizing, they are not hitting their head, hitting their limbs and hurting themselves more. It's really important to time the seizure so that you know, a seizure that lasts longer than 5 minutes, it's really, really crucial that they get help. So make sure you time the seizure as soon as it starts. If it's possible, make sure you roll them on their side so that their airways can stay open, and that if they're foaming at the mouth, they're not going to choke on it. So just roll them to their side so things can go this way. And again, you typically just check their pulse, check the time, and just let them seize. And then the best thing you can do is be there for them when they come out. It's really, really scary coming out of a seizure. Every seizure is different for every single person, and even the same person can have many different kinds of seizures, and they can feel different. But it's really scary to wake up and be in such a vulnerable and, for me, embarrassing state, and then wake up with all these people around me, like talking and asking me my name, and like it's a lot. So just reassuring throughout the whole seizure that they're okay with what's happening, where are they, what's about to happen, praying for them, and yeah, those are just some basic first seizure care tips I can give you. Please, I'm gonna leave some links below to give you guys more information. But yeah, just take a few minutes to educate yourself on how to take care of somebody with seizures, and I will also link below some fundraisers. Epilepsy research is so important. I am so thankful for the Epilepsy Foundation and for the possibility to live a life seizure-free. So if you have extra change, feel free to donate down below. But I think the biggest thing is, even if you can't donate, just the awareness is so key. I grew up with so much ignorance and willfully ignorant people. And I think that was the hardest part having seizures, was like all of the misconceptions and preconceived ideas that were just so false when it came to epilepsy. So thank you guys so much for what you want. Hey. Shut my door.
Get out my room.
Man, you messed up the whole video. I was almost done. You're being recorded, babe. Wow. Well, anyway, you guys, I hope that this video was informative. I hope that inspired you to just think outside of yourself. And if you are living with a health condition, I hope that this really just encouraged you and inspired you and showed you that you absolutely can live your wildest dreams. Don't let your disability, don't let your condition stop you. Just figure out a way to manage it, and it's so much easier said than done. I mean, I've been living with this thing for 13 years, and I'm just now getting to a point that I am living a semi-seizure-free life. So with that being said, I don't think I have anything else for you guys. Yeah, that's it. I appreciate you so much for watching. Like I keep saying, this community is growing so fast. If you would like to know anything else about my personal seizure story, please let me know in the comments below. If you have epilepsy, if you have a seizure disorder, I would love to know. And just if you have another condition, let me know. I want to know what we're dealing with in this community. So yeah, guys, thank you. I feel like I haven't talked about seizures in a minute, so it feels kind of good to be advocating and bringing awareness and just sharing my personal story. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. This community that we're building is so incredibly beautiful, and I am so thankful for it and so here for it. And yeah, guys, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and turn your notification bells on, because I got hella videos coming. I'm keeping this momentum. I'm really proud. I'm not gonna stop. We got this. So yeah, it's December 1st tomorrow, the last freaking month of 2020. Yes, I'm ready. I know most of us are ready, so that's exciting. But let's finish off this year strong, y'all. If you have goals, if you have dreams, take a step today to get you closer to that dream. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you a million times over. Don't forget to stay strong, stay kind, stay courageous, and I'll see you soon. Bye.